Hi, David.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. You're in darkness.
I am
Good.
going to send you a video of where I'm sitting quickly.
I like this view at the back, though. Doesn't matter what the video
I
says.
also like the view in the back. Your video is on its way.
Quickly taking videos. Right. Music.
Apparently, this is the
Oh, you're in the bar.
I am. It's
I
too
did.
noisy in the lounge and the front because they play music and they have people in and out of there all the time. So it's fairly quiet here because there's not many golfers back from the golf course yet. So I decided to come and sit here.
Wow, that's great. That's exactly in fact when the timber. Can you go back? Or I'll go back with the video. That's exactly what I did at Jim's wake
I
when I was
know.
telecasting.
Yes.
And so it was a green and timber, exactly the same it was.
I know.
Yeah, but it didn't have Alcons. It had that chairs you got there, the green sitting chair, the stools.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had the green stools and the
Mm,
timber top and the bar.
mm.
Where's the bar? There was a view of the bar just now. Oh yeah. Yeah. Only thing is there was a lot more people there.
Yeah, no, I don't have people here today.
That's unfortunate.
I know. So Fatima is having a power outage, apparently, she says. So
Okay.
she might not be able to join. And Sonia is going to be 10 minutes late. And I don't know about anybody else.
Ramadevi is
Rosie is
here.
packing mango.
Yes. Mangoes are going to take me far.
Sir, good evening, sir. This is Rangarajan.
Where is Rangarajan? I can't see it.
Akshaya, in the name of Akshaya. I've been logged in my daughter's login.
Oh, okay.
How are you, sir? Long time.
Yes, it's a long time. Can you come on screen, please? Is it possible for you to change the name?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi,
Rangarajan.
Ramadevi.
My God. I thought that was Arkansas actually, but no, it's not. Okay. Fabulous. I went back to all my
Ramadevi.
this topic is from a workshop that three of us had to do for our NLP, moving on from masters to train the trainer.
Okay.
And it was after 3 beers that we came up with this topic name. Corinda was like,
Oh dear.
that's
Was
going to
that
cost
part
you
of
some
the
money.
start
But
of the
then
spring?
we found out it's also used by a lot of other people in the industry of letting go, letting free, etc.
Okay.
Yeah. You're into horses, so you should know what brindle is, right?
Yes.
Bridle. Is that how I
Yes.
pronounce it? Bridle or
So
brindle?
there's a bridle.
Yeah.
That's obviously the whole thing that you put on the horse. And then a brindle is a color of the horse.
Oh,
get a
okay.
brindle.
No, it's the bridle. It's that.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is revolving around the bridle.
No, Antlaki has been riding horses now for 14 years, and I still can't
Oh.
fit a bridle on a horse.
She can't.
I can't. She
Oh, you
can. I
can't.
can't. No, she must because she's the rider. I
Exactly.
don't have, I'm just the mother. I'm just paying. Mm.
Oh, golly. Oh, Prakash, welcome. Love to
Oh,
see you. Is that going to be a face with Prakash or is it going to be incognito?
no, he's going to come on screen, I'm sure.
Hello, Rangarat. You've not changed, man. In fact, you look younger now than when I met you when you were with RNTBCI. It's RNTBCI, right? Are you still with them? Sorry? You need to unmute yourself. You're able to unmute for the start. Yeah, please. Introduce yourself to everyone that's here.
1 second, I'll put on to my earrings.
Earphones. So in India now we call them earrings. I love to take the mickey out of everybody.
We know that.
So how is the hotel up there, up in the mountains?
You know, we've been to a couple of resorts and they are all absolutely beautiful.
Right.
Lovely, 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 lovely. Service is really good. It's completely different to Cape Town. This is very calm, very serene, very quiet. All the people that work in the establishments are all extremely friendly and helpful. It's very different.
Pardon me.
And I took some videos of a couple of gardens because I know you like gardens. Their gardens and their sidewalks are immaculately kept.
Right.
Beautiful. And they clean it up 7 o'clock in the morning. It really is just so different.
Is it a big country town?
So we in the mountains, which is much quite rural area, and you have different farms and then you have a hotel. So the farmers all support each other and they have like, do you know that there's 18 golf clubs here? I couldn't believe it.
So people must come up there for the weekends for a game and things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Today we took a drive and we found the house that Len's dad built in the mountains, and there are still people staying in there now today. And
Oh, really?
they haven't changed it much, but they've obviously done some maintenance, you know, but they haven't changed the house in essence.
Wow.
So he was very excited about that. But yeah, it's very rural. I'll send you a picture of the area and you can see.
Right. Oh, that'd be good.
And
I'll
they
put
all
that.
support each other and they have emergency groups, but there's virtually no crime. We stay in a self-catering guest rondavel. It's like a little round house. It's so cute. And
Right.
that own it on the farm says they don't even lock their front doors. Now, in Cape Town, we would never do that. We lock everything.
Right.
And we have bees, and we have lights, and we have alarms. So it's very
So
different.
what's
in
the
the
demographic age group?
it's obviously
Yeah.
different because in the town it's a little bit more cosmopolitan and it's a little bit more politically orientated because this province is governed by our previous state president, Jacob Zuma, that caught all the corruptions on with the Guptas and the state capture and those. So he's ruling here. Whereas in the Western Cape, the DA is ruling, the major opposition party. So the Western Cape functions a lot better in terms of governance of the country. And then the other
Right.
provinces, unfortunately, fall mostly under ANC ruling. And most of those provinces have really, really, really decayed so badly. But now
Right.
that we've got the government of national unity, it's starting slowly to come right, because there's obviously investigations going on driven by the opposition parties and the national unity partners, investigating why these provinces and cities have fallen into decay. Where did the money go to? And it's actually quite shocking when you look at the subcommittees and the investigations that they are currently conducting and the information that comes out of there. It's actually just heartbreaking.
Right.
But we
And the
still have,
corruption, sorry, the corruption you mentioned, Gupta, is that an Indian, inverted commas?
yeah, so the Guptas are from Indian descent. They came from Saudi Arabia. They settled in Saudi Arabia. And they came here and they, together with Jacob Zuma, literally did a state capture of note. It was so blatant, David. It was something to cry about. It was really, really bad. So Cyril Ramaphosa is now the state president, and the first 4 years that he's been in power, he sort of tried to deal with it. Not very efficiently though, but it is being handled now by the government of national unity, much better, much stronger, much more aggressive, and much more results orientated.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the time? 10:40. Let's kickstart. There's only 6 of us. The others are still coming. Let them come when they are.
Okay.
Can I have you on screen, please, Prakash and Rangarajan? Great. Happy day, Prakash. How's your mum?
She's doing well, David. She's fine.
Good.
Temperature is soaring very high. That's the only problem now.
Right. But she's in medication, full medication? Right. Good. Excellent. Rangarajan, can you introduce yourself, please? You need to unmute yourself first. Can you hear me? Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry, my mic was on mute.
All right. Yep. Please.
I'm Rangarajan. I'm a HR professional. I'm having around 23 years of experience. I came to know Mr. David Nair when I was working with Renault Nissan. So I used to attend a session which is very lively, which more have good examples, which makes us to turn around, see what is that. That is the mark which I've been learned from his programs. And I'm happy to be to this webinar where it was a personal invite from Mr. David Nair to meet today. Nice to
Right.
meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you for coming too. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
We don't have a full force here, but let's start because we're running out of time. The topic as promoted is called Breaking the Bridle, I should say, recognizing the wild horse within. Now, I want to deep dive on this, and I'm going straight into the subject primarily because there is quite a lot to cover. I'll only be skiing through the top surface of it because I would like to run this as a once every 6 months for MRM as a workshop, meaning a 5-day workshop, which we will cover so people can get full value from it. So let me kickstart with a little story of the whole process so you get a feel for it. And just bear with me as I read through some of this, because this is a poem that was written by a person that had a huge ranch. In his old days, he started sitting back on his balcony and looking at his ranch of horses all around, and he wrote this out. I want you to just enjoy that little poem of his. The wild horse, the untamed horse, strong and fierce, full of life, dust at her heels, power in every step she takes. Her freedom was her truth. But one day a group of humans saw her running wild and said, that kind of freedom is dangerous. So they set out to tame her. And you've seen, ladies and gentlemen, many of these horse carols where they've tamed horses. Continuing on the poem. So they set out to tame her. They put her in a carroll. They tied a rope around her neck. They told her what to do, when to do it, and who to be. At first, she rejected and resisted. She kicked and bucked. She screamed. But slowly, through repetition, reward, and punishment, and control, she learned to obey. She learned that staying quiet kept her safe. She learned that pleasing others brought her praise. She learned that being wild made her too much. Eventually, she stopped running. She forgot the wind. She forgot the hills. She forgot who she was. She became what they needed her to be. Tame, predictable, useful. Until one day, something changed. It was a small whisper within herself, a scent of the wild wind, a memory of her bones. She stomped her feet, she lifted her head, and for the first time in a long time, she remembered what it was like to scout down the hills and the breeze going through her mane. She remembered that she was not made for cages. She was not made to be brindled, not made to perform for love. She was not made to run, but she is made to run. As she stepped beyond the gate, she then realized the gate was never locked. She found that her strength had never left her. It had only been waiting inside of her, waiting for her to come back. My question to you, what do you get out of that little prose? Anybody? What do you get out of that prose?
David, I think it's very similar to what we do with human beings. You know, when our children are born, they're wild, they have no inhibitions, they've got no baggage, they've got nothing. And then they go through life and they gather their baggage and they gather what people expect from them and how they should behave and what they should do to get praise and what they shouldn't be doing. And then they grow up and they go to varsity and this is expected of them, and they go into a workplace and this is expected of them. And then they get married and they have to conform to the spouse's expectations, whether it's male or female, very often more female. And then they have children and they work and they run a household and they're so busy, they lose themselves. And one day, many years later, in some cases, they wake up and they realize, like that song of, what's her name, Marianne Faithfull says, I realized I've never driven through Paris in a sports car with the warm wind in my hair. And when you realize that, something rekindles, something awakens in you. And it's when that something awakens in you that you can then step back into who you originally were and who you originally wanted to be, and what your passions were that you have swept under the carpet, and you can bring it out and you can rekindle that. So that's what this poem is for me about. Thank you so much.
In a nutshell, it's actually a metaphor, and it's interesting that Enda picked that from the perspective of what was shared here. My question to you is, how many of us are in that cage? How many of us are hampering ourselves by being in that cage? Let me give you some background to this, by the way. This whole thing came, as I mentioned to Enda before you guys came online. It was our last session for which we had to do a group presentation before we were certified as NLP master trainers. And one of the things that we were given was 7 days to do a case that pulled together everything that we covered in neuro-linguistic programming, John Grinder being the founder. And the four of us decided to run with nature because we love nature. And this was the story of it, depicting how a horse has been hampered in relation to what man's desires were compared to where that horse could have gone. And if you look at it, human beings, a lot of us are going through the same challenge. And as I journey through this, you will see I have merged in another practice called Doctor, which is an acronym, and brought it in here for each of you now to understand and get a feel why some of you are where you are. And that inhibition needs to be pulled away. Most of us know that you need to pull it away, but what you need to do to pull it away. As I said earlier, before some of you joined, I will be including this as a program similar to the Purpose Drive once every 6 months in MRN. And it will be run on a separate day, 3 to 4 sessions. I've not structured the framework for it, but we'll have it for either 3 or 4 sessions. The moral of the story basically comes down to you're never broken. If you understand that power comes from within, you're never broken. But most of us don't see that. Most of us find excuses and reasons why things don't happen. You need to break through that, and we will talk about that as we journey through. Now, the key talking point I want to make you understand also, and for you to talk on, is symbolically, when I talked of this particular poem and the horse, what do you think is that bridle? How many understand the word bridle? How many understand the word bridle of a horse? One, two. Okay, please write this down. You need to understand this because that's been your negative anchor. Ravi, can you just explain bridle from your perspective, please?
Hello, good evening. Bridle of a horse is meant to serve as a saddle for the person to be atop a horse, and also the means to control the horse for him to ride smoothly without any fear, without any danger. That's what I understand the term bridle.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. And your explanation, please.
So a bridle is the thing that they put over the horse's head so that they can control the horse when the rider gets onto the horse, or even when they take the horse for a walk, they lead it with the bridle.
Right. So now that's 100% right. Both of you are correct. It's a piece of equipment. If you look at a horse, it's a piece of equipment that actually is steering the horse the direction it wants to go. And the rider could pull on one of the reins and it'll steer in that direction, or pull on the other side of the reins and it'll steer in that direction. So it's fully controlled with the bridle. And it goes to the mouth on the side, and it actually clamps the head. Okay. Now, with that piece of equipment used to control a horse, many don't realize we have journeyed through life in the same manner. Unfortunately, many do not realize this. Let me just point this out to you. How? One of the key things you will also understand instinctively, a powerful sovereign as a horse, if you look at it, it's a magnificent animal, magnificent beast. God's given us that. Many of us are tamed by the system. The system has been put in place for us to do what they want, to do what you think it is right, or what they think is right. The system has been put in place with certain expectations. And you are driving that, and I am driving that. We as individuals are riding that based on how they steer it. The same time, expectations are put in place for us to either cope with it or move away from it. Trauma, our daily trauma that we've been carrying, the baggage we've been carrying, have been caused because of that. The fear factors we've been carrying have been caused because of that. Because we have not been strong enough to search within to unleash that. What we have been doing is abiding by it, abiding by the norms that have been laid down. If I might just at this moment stop for a moment here and share. And myself and I think 4 or 5 other ladies from India, we were trying to get a group together to talk about extended family for a period of time. The implications, the benefits, how it went, what it did, etc. And as we went into a 3rd or 4th roundtable discussion before we could take it on to 10 years, a couple of them had to pull away because the extended family was not happy and comfortable with what was being discussed. There is a norm, there is a system. And some of them actually left the organization because of that. So I'm being very open here so people can understand how much of a control is being put into you. Now, when those type of controls are put into you, you yourself now are worse than how that horse was treated. You're not allowed to freely fly, to soar like an eagle. What does that do to certain things such as your limiting beliefs? What are some of the symbolic meanings of this? Your limiting beliefs are controlled. How? I am not good enough. How many have got that in their minds saying constantly? I am not good enough. Can I do this? That's not becoming of you as a person. As a child, if you had seen my demonstration that I did in this room here, the week after I had my surgery, why I remember that was Alka was so conscious that she would not allow me to carry the bucket, lift the buckets up. And at that demonstration, I pointed out how the water got colored and how it stayed clear by constant reflushing. And that's the same thing that's happening inside of us. That constant reflushing, unless we are constantly doing it and growing with it in an environment, we will lose our identity, whether we like it or not. And we can't afford to do that. We can't afford to do that. Because you are a person, you are an individual that God had created. You've got to be strong enough to say, no, enough is enough. But in the right way, in the right manner, and negotiate your way out of that. So as both as Anda and Ravi had pointed out, the brindle is that equipment that symbolically holds you back in areas such as limiting beliefs, social conditioning. Be quiet, don't say anything now. This is not the time or place to talk. Fear-based obedience, emotional suppression. I'm throwing some of this at you for you to now realize. And if these have impacted you, please make note of it, because there are corrective measures, which we won't have time to cover today, but there are corrective measures which we will be covering in the course later. So when someone says the bridle is there, we have been trained out of our truth, out of our instincts, out of our power, often within inverted commas, often by the first point of contact, which is our family. The second point of contact, our culture. The third point of contact, trauma. The fourth point of contact, survival strategies that is out there by all the influencers saying, you do this, you do that, you do this, you'll be out. Now, all of this put together is what is driving us instinctively to be capsuled and not allowed to fly. As part of this exercise, I've asked Anda to do a small segment on the first part. And as I said, I'm going to bring in a topic called, an acronym called DOCTOR. And as part of that, the first word or letter, DOCTOR, meaning D, defines it very clearly what you need to do. Anda, thank you.
Thank you so much, David. So the first D stands for disconnect, okay? But disconnect is not the kind that I have just frantically gone through where my phone almost died and my Wi-Fi almost dropped. It's much deeper than that. It's a silent kind. It's the kind of disconnect that creeps into your spirit. And when you're awake, you feel like you're just going through the motions. When you look in the mirror, you don't recognize the person staring back at you. When you look at life, it looks full from the outside, but on the inside, you are empty. And this is the kind of disconnect that I'm talking about. It's the time that we have an honest conversation about that, because like David has said, we we have tried to create a group, to talk to people, to understand the culture so that we can help them to find themselves again. But disconnection is that silent ache of being estranged from your own soul, okay? And it is not failure. It is not a weakness. And it's definitely not something to be ashamed of. In fact, it's actually incredibly human. And we all go through seasons where we lose touch with ourselves, with our essence, with our fire, with our truth. And sometimes it happens slowly, and there's a compromise here or there. Sometimes it happens through pain, loss, trauma, grief, or simply the exhaustion of constantly trying to be who the world expects you to be. You compromise by saying yes when you actually meant no. You compromise when you delay your own dreams and then forget about them. So disconnection actually sounds like, I don't know who this person is that I am anymore. And it feels like numbness. It feels like restlessness. Or it's this constant background hum of dissatisfaction in your life. It looks like success on the outside and suffering on the inside. But let us pull back these layers of disconnection, because disconnection isn't just one thing, and it shows up in different ways. There's a disconnection from yourself. This is when you stop listening to your own needs. You abandon your boundaries. You don't trust your intuition any longer. You silence your own truth to keep peace. And suddenly, you're a stranger in your own skin. But what do purpose do with disconnection? Without purpose, disconnection feels like a loop. Wake, work, sleep, repeat. Wake, work, sleep, repeat. There's no meaning. There's no direction. Just motion without momentum. But we were born for more than just survival. We crave significance in our lives. And when we live without purpose, we don't feel alive. We just feel tired. So when you don't feel valuable, you start to settle. Okay. You settle for second best. You settle for, I'll take this relationship because that one's not meant for me. I'm not good enough. You take the second grade job because you don't think you can do the first one. And when you do that, that actually shrinks you as a person. You don't speak up. You don't dream out loud. And your voice becomes a whisper, even to yourself. So what are the symptoms of disconnection? It's chronic exhaustion, even after you've been resting. It's a sense of numbness, like I said earlier, like life is just happening, but you're not really in it, okay? And you're envied of other people's lives. You feel stuck, or you are living someone else's script for your life. It's an inability to dream, to feel joy, or to find excitement in your future. And there's constant overthinking, but no clarity. And there's a very deep loneliness, even when you are surrounded by others. Does that sound familiar to you? Yeah? It happens to all of us in some way or another. But let me tell you something, okay? This is not your fault. You are not broken. You don't need to be fixed, but you do need to come home. You need to come home to yourself. So how do we come back from this disconnection? We reconnect, not overnight, but moment by moment, breath by breath. And I'm going to give you 3 anchors to help you and to guide you. Number 1, purpose. Purpose is not some grand mission statement carved in stone. It's often quiet and gentle. It's the why behind your what. Start by asking, what makes me feel alive? When do I feel like I'm contributing and not just consuming? What breaks my heart? And what would I love to help heal? You see, your purpose might be to raise kind humans. It might be to create beautiful art. It might be to tell stories, to be a safe space for others, to challenge injustice, to plant hope, help other people evolve. But whatever it is, your purpose will light your path when the road gets dark. And then, of course, secondly, a big one, self-care. And I don't mean bubble baths and scented candles, although those are also nice. We do them often. I mean radical self-reflection and self-respect. Saying no without feeling guilty. Resting without earning it. Honoring your body, honoring your boundaries and your needs. Self-care is that quiet daily revolution of choosing yourself, not once, but again and again. And then number 3, your values. When you are disconnected from your values, you constantly feel off center, like your life isn't quite yours. So take time to define your values. Ask yourself, what do I stand for? What truly matters to me? What am I no longer willing to tolerate? Your values are your internal compass. They will always lead you back to truth. And then just a gentle reminder, and let me say this loud and clear. Disconnection is not the end of your story. It is a pause. It is a crossroad. It is an invitation. It is your soul's whispering, saying, come back, come home. I miss you. You are not alone in this. You are not behind. You are not broken. But you are on the verge of remembering who you are. So if you're feeling numb, lost, or like you're living someone else's life, pause, breathe, place your hand on your heart and ask, what do I need right now in this moment to come back to myself? And then listen, because you are worth listening to. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to come home to you. Thank you, David, for the opportunity.
Thank you, and thank you. Disconnection isn't a weakness, bottom line. It is a strength. Put that in bold letters in front of you. Disconnection isn't a weakness. It is a strength. It is your protection. So just for 30 seconds, we're going to do that exercise that Anna just spoke about. Close your eyes, take your right hand, put it on your heart, please. Close your eyes, take your right hand, put it on your heart, please. One more time. Close your eyes, take your right hand, put it on your heart, please. And ask yourself, what does the real me want to say right now? You anchor on that, take it home tonight when you do your wind down, wind up exercise, go back through it. Let me just go back to bridal again one more time and run it down so you can now see what we're going to talk on the second aspect of life. As we went through and explained to you the aspect of how we have anchored ourselves into that limiting belief, into not wanting to surge, I want to throw a few questions at you for you to now think, and please respond. Don't sit still. It's for your good. So please understand that. One key thing that I want you to also look at is, as we walk through this, participate in the questions, write it down, and use that as your introspection exercise, because some of these questions are very penetrating. Guided reflection that you can look at, prompting yourself. When did you start to play small or quieten your voice? What beliefs keep you playing safe? Who or what taught you to trade the wildness that's out there for approval? You sacrifice that freedom for approval. Who or what taught you to do that? Because that's your anchor. That's pulling you, holding you back. What would your life look like if you were unbridled? If you had taken that from your head and started looking at you, what is your true freedom like? Those 4 questions, attach that to your introspection tonight when you do your downtime, wind down time, and see what happens. And so rightly put by Anda, purpose is the underlying base of all of this. Your purpose is your guiding force, your GPS. And as long as you stick with your purpose, you will then understand the power of what this is going to do for your growth. It's for you, nobody else. With purpose, I also use another acronym that's called ARCO. A-R-C-O. Accountability, responsibility, commitment, and ownership, where our NENN comes in and we talk about if it is to be, it is up to me. So when we combine all of these practices, you then understand it's liberating you. Nobody else. Liberating you. But you need to be able to do it, which means Excuse me, I beg your forgiveness. You need to get up of your butt and do it. You can't sit in the back here and allow this armadillo to control you. You need to move from your armadillo to your frontal cortex. Constantly, I keep saying this. Only when you do that motion can you then actionize what you want. And only when you actionize will you move forward. Will you come out of your brindle. Some common false narratives that we carry with us. I'm going to give you a couple very quickly because of time factor. Number one, let me ask you the question rather than I tell you. What would be some common narratives that's holding you back? What would be some common narratives, please? Yes, Fatima.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for joining in late. Yes, David. Common narratives would be like, what if I fail? Or what if I make a mistake? What will people say? So then it holds back, and you'd rather don't do anything because you're safer that way. I mean, for me, sometimes that works.
Right. Ramadevi?
Fear, fear about the criticism, fear about the progress.
Yep.
That is
Excellent. Anybody else? Anybody else, please?
Fear
Yes,
of what
Navam.
fear of what people might think because of our
Yes.
actions. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because there is, when we are in a set pattern in a society, doing something out of the box is not digestible by the people. So that's where
Yes.
all sort of fingers point out towards us. So why you can't be amongst the sheeps? Why you trying to become a wolf among the sheeps? Or something like that.
Yep. So true. Very true. Fantastic. Yes, Shiva.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yes, something similar to what Navang has shared. It's like nowadays I'm feeling like I'm different. Like I'm so different from others, and I don't think people will understand me, even if I'm going and doing something out there. So how will I change? Like recently, certain thoughts were there. What Fatima has shared, what Rama Devi has shared earlier. I used to battle those. I think I've come quite an extent beating them within. But now it's like, okay, I don't think anybody is going to understand, even if I'm going and doing any program out there. And yeah, like how will I convince people? How am I going to tell them this is the truth? This is what is the truth? Like, certain aspects like standing up for yourself, saying no. It's like, I think most of us are, as you said rightly till now, are going by that system. In fact, I faced something very drastic in my life previously that shifted a lot of my reality. That helped me not only survive but thrive. I'm still learning. I'm still in the this thing of getting out of that clutches, right? So I'm able to feel it within, and I'm so thankful for this community of people who I feel really understand what I'm sharing. But out there, other than this community, who understands? So if I'm putting in all of my efforts and I fail, where will I be? Like, will I be able to handle myself with that failure? That is, I think that is the biggest fear I'm having right now. And I'm happy that I could be vocal about it because even I'm not able to put it on paper. Yeah, thank you for this question, David.
Pleasure. And I want you to continue because you're only one of many that have come through this. In fact, in my 3.5 decades working with people across India, in particular, that has come to the forefront. I have done personally 65 women empowerment programs in India. And all of them, there were breakdown situations. All because of family issues. And that wasn't family abuse. It's just the way the mind has been driven to sabotage them. Okay? There was one lady, for example, very simply put, and I've told this story many a times. 2 kids of the same family. A boy baby and a girl baby. Both of them, the parents had put aside 2 separate bank accounts. As they were growing up, both of them were aware that's for their education, so they were not to touch it. Now, when it came to entry into the colleges, the boy kid did not perform as well. The girl was excellent. She wanted to do MBBS, medicine, and she was unfortunately not allowed to do it because the boy baby's performance was low that the parents had to tap into the girl child's bank account to pay for the capitalization fee for the boy baby so he could go to a premium college and do his engineering. But the parents were still very kind to give the girl baby the education that she needed with a piece of paper called a degree in BCom. She was not happy. Where I met her was in the program. She was an accountant for that company. She was one of 26 other participants in the WEP program I conducted, Women Empowerment Program. And in that, she pointed out very openly, I spent 2 hours of that talking to and counseling people at the start to break the ice, basically. And in this, she opened up and said, I'm here as an accountant, but my desire inside is still to become a doctor. Because I was not permitted, I went and asked my mother, why did you do that? Very simple question. Why did you do that, Amma? And her response was very simple. When you get married, you will go to the other person's house. When the boy gets married, he's got to take care of us for our old age. So we need to make sure that that's catered for. How do you think the child felt? Forget all the other issues. How do you think the child felt? So she stood there and she said, this is not to spite my mom. This is not to spite my dad. I thank them because I still live at home. I'm not paying rent, but every penny that I make here, I'm saving to do my MBBS. And she is a world-class GP in Chennai today. Whatever the heart calls for, go for it. And this is the story time and time again in our own platform. Some of you would know, Akan Shah went through a lot. I'm talking about Akan Shah Mishra, not Kabra. She went through a lot of such challenges. In fact, the first when she wrote Grail, she wanted to pull her chapter out because it's undermining her dad so much. We guided and we worked it through. The point I make out of this exercise is that bridle that we talk about has been an anchor, a negative anchor that pulled people down. So let me give you some other narratives so you get a feel for it. What are some narratives that you might want to look at if it's not happened to you yet? I have to earn my worth. Believe that love, belonging, or respect is not good enough. I'm not good enough from a love perspective. If I show my real self-worth, I won't be accepted. Fear that authenticity equates to rejection. Leads to people pleasing. Am I a people pleaser? My emotional makeup. It's safer to stay small than risk being too much. Especially common with women. Results in silence ideas, thinking presence, and underplaying our talents. That's a good one. I didn't notice until of recent times. After my surgery, I went for my the rehab physiotherapist. Wendy was telling me, a couple of times she watched me. And then she came up to me and she said one day, just in a whisper, because there was a few people in the room, she said, Dave, why are you hunched? Your body posture is right, but why are you hunched? And I thought back. And I did that after I went to India, because prior to that, I was a huge corporate guy. Not that I'm any different now, but what happened in India was when I'm doing my delivery, okay, on stage. I needed to connect with people. So I used to bow down. Joy, simplicity, and humility were my key cardinal points. So I connected with people that way. I bowed down. And she said, that in itself downsells you. I would like you. It's nothing to do with your heart. It's nothing to do with your muscles. You get back up here and do this posture. So when we talk about here just now, that's exactly a detour for some of you to think and follow. Your posture. This was picked up by my physio. Keep going, especially my needs don't matter. Rooted in codependency or trauma. This is another drama. Dependency and codependency. Take stock of it, write it down, follow through. Do some study in it. Don't just sit back, guys. Why I say don't sit back is very simple. Hey, the Creator, your God, my God, doesn't matter what religion we are in, He gave us one precious gift. And that precious gift is your breath of life, without which nothing exists. Okay? And if you cannot give back with effective breath, it's useless. So when you do some work in a chota way, in a half-hearted way, and you put that on a tray and you offer it to that Creator, He will not complain, He will take it graciously. But if you went out and gave 1 extra percent, not 100, one extra percent more, and put that on a tray and offer it to Him, He will take it open-handedly. What's the difference between tray 1 and tray 2? It's your performance, your thinking, your mindset. You're putting that extra, you're giving everything into it. Why don't you do that? That's my point. Do that with the family, do that with the system, do that with the culture, do that with everything. I must be strong all the time. Strength becomes an armor. There is no room for softness, no room for vulnerability. Understand this. And it's not being strength from the perspective of egoistic strength, huh? Rest is lazy. How many have had that said to you? Rest is lazy. I had in MRM, guys, in MRM, I had a situation where one of the ladies, oh God, sometimes my heart goes out. When she went to take food from the fridge, the mother-in-law was checking. Okay. And she was in tears when she was sharing that with me on a private call. And I said, stand up, take your time, build your strength, stand up. Success means sacrifice. I have to be everything for everybody. Hello? I have to be everything for everybody. That's why my question to the ladies in particular, when you say you're going to bed, you go to bed. You don't take 45 minutes to go to bed because you have to go and wash the pots. You got to wear this. You got to take the clothes and put in the washing machine. You got to do this. You just go to bed like the man. Think like the man. Hello? Don't go back and tell your husband I did. I don't want him to come and kill me, okay? I'll say, I don't know about that. Okay. I have to be everything for everybody. My past defines me. Oh my God. My past defines me. Oh la la. You remember we did the backpack experience? How many remember that? Get rid of that backpack. That is your downfall. Dump it. Dump it. The belief that all wounds, failure, or shame are permanent identities. a belief that these things are permanent identities. That's your downfall if you have that anchored in you. Get rid of it. These are just some that I picked up this afternoon when I was just sitting down in the back deck. So if you have others, add to it. That's what you got to now look at. So moving forward, let me now go into the next acronym word from Doctor. Where are my notes? Where are my notes? Let me pull out some notes out here so I can see it. The word O. Overcompensation. Take stock of it. How many of us are in that syndrome of overcompensating? Constantly, not one time. One time is okay, but a constant overcompensation. When I feel unworthy, I try to become more than I am until I forget I was nearly at the depths of death. I was still giving and giving and giving. Those that have done it, put the brakes on, take stock, and analyze that. I have done the analytical introspection with everybody. Have a look at it and see what you got to do to reverse cycle that. Because you cannot live that way. You cannot overcompensate. So it's basically, when I say overcompensate, it's your performance, your perfection, your people pleaser, you're covering up your unworthiness, thinking that this is how I should be doing, to prove it, by doing, by giving, by achieving. All of these things come under that banner. So my point to you, each of you, is, I'm going to ask you this question now. Where do you think that is coming from? This overcompensation thinking. Where do you think it's coming from? Yes, Shiva.
It is coming from the space of, I need to earn something from outside, that I'm not complete, right? I need to do this to get this, like love or self-worth, whatever that be. If I don't do this, I'm not going to be good enough.
Keep going. Anybody else? Any other points? Yes, Nawang?
It's either the inner conscious, the guilt conscious, or it's the ego that we want to satisfy, the satiate. It can be either or both.
Right. Good. Anybody else?
David,
Yes, Carlos?
Prakash. Sorry,
sorry,
Prakash wrote in the chat box. Sorry,
Yeah,
Prakash wrote in the chat box that it comes from the ego.
It comes from the ego, right? Yeah, good, Prakash. Yes, Carlos?
yeah. Hello, everyone. Yeah, it could be like the ego, but at the same time could be the lack of confidence or know where I am, having my position, my authority. So it's lacking of that. I'm trying to prove it, to think that you are able to do it when you are already human.
Right. Yeah, very true. How true. Fatima, you have
Yes,
you were going to say
David,
something?
for me, if I look back, if I was a child and how she behaved, she was very quiet, and everyone would take advantage of her, and they would make her feel less of who she was. And I think that's where I sort of picked that up from. And that's why I would like to overcompensate for something. I never wanted to feel that way. And even the times when I used to be in the company of people that would, very close friends, and they would be talking about my mother in front of me, and I'd be listening to that. I'd be feeling really hurt inside of me, but not saying a single word to stand up for her. So I feel that is where I want to overcompensate in everything I do, so I don't have to go through that myself. So that's
Yeah.
where I resonate with that right now. Thank you.
Right, right. And that's so true. Just think about it. Think about some of these. I've written down 4 points on this that I want to share with you. Number one, childhood praise. Try to achieve. You're such a good little girl when you help. You know that add-on, when you help. So now the child is conditioned to think help equates good. I'm coming from again coming from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, the language we use. You're such a good girl when you help. How small words can impact so much, huh? That's why we say it. Remember the words, the wow that we talked about. That's one. Another, early emotional
Girl
neglect.
conditioning.
Yes, girl conditioning, very much so. The early childhood emotional upsets that we had and how they were treated, for example. The emotional neglect that we had. If I do more, maybe they will see me. Attention seeking. If I do more. And that is plagued on your neuroplasticity in your brain, that now you know that you have to overcompensate. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And that's the power that we have. And another one, society's messaging. Women and marginalized communities, the messaging that goes out. Things that they do, they can't do, they will do, how they do. All of that. You have to be twice as good to be seen half as worthy. I saw that in a placard actually in Calcutta. You have to be twice as good to be seen as half as worthy. Can you believe that? Now, my point is, you can sit there, hello, listen to me, huh? You can sit there and suck your thumb for the next 65 years. Okay? And say, poor little me, poor little me. Or you say, damn it, I'm going to fix this. None of this poor little me syndrome. It's a disease in itself. So, what are some of the internal beliefs when you talk about overcompensation? What do you think could be some of your internal beliefs? Share with me, please. Your internal beliefs because of overcompensation. I want you to, especially your own personal experiences you've gone through. Anybody?
But David, for me, I have to earn my love. So I didn't feel like I deserved to be loved. I felt like I had to do everything in my power to earn that. And the little bit I got, I felt, okay, now I have to do more to get more of that. So that's what I believed. Yeah.
Right. Okay, now let me deep dive with that. Let me deep dive with that. How can I deep dive with that with you, Fatima? Think about it. What do you have to do? One simple thing.
Sorry, can you please repeat the question, David?
What do you have to do to scale up on that? What you just mentioned, for you to get that love, what do you have to do?
No, so now I don't have to earn the love. I just be who I am, and then I'm loved anyways. And I look around and I feel that.
I understand that, but something that you can do to scale it up.
Oh, that every time I look at myself in the mirror, I can tell myself that I'm loved or I love you.
How many
then I
times
don't
do you
need
do
to
that
wait
a
for
day?
it.
How many times a day do you do that?
I do it in the morning when I look in the mirror. The first thing I look in my face and I said, I bask in the glory of my magnificent self, and I step into my greatness. That's what I do every morning.
Fabulous. That's only one time. So what I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you from tomorrow onwards, you're only going to have one meal a day. Physical meal. So every time you do that second time, you go for your second meal. Every time you do that third time, you go for your third meal. Okay? Done. That's the trade-off here. Okay?
Cool.
That's one way of losing weight too, by the way. Not that you need
Yeah,
to
so
lose
I'm
weight.
working on that too, so it'll work.
I
Thank you.
know. In South India, they say, Ravi, I don't know if you know Tamil, but I know a bit of Tamil. Randu kallu oru manga. No, oru kallu randu manga. I got it wrong. Back to front. One stone, two mangoes. Where's Ramadevi? Listen, what do you do, Ramadevi, of recent times?
Yes, at a time you are doing two things or grabbing. So while doing one thing, we can get two benefits.
Yeah, but what do you do now? One of the things that you're currently doing
I'm
to get
doing, I'm, I'm, I'm going, reaching to the home and I'm listening.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something that you're constantly doing currently in relation to self-care, self-love.
Self-care, and I'm repeating the word I love you. I
Yes.
love you, the name I love you, Ramadevi, and I accept myself.
What else do you do in the kitchen?
That I'll do the Louis Hay audio version. I'll the whole 1 hour audio version I'll hear doing the kitchen work, and also if possible I'll hear during my workplace also.
Fatima?
So I don't have that I don't have that time to listen patiently. But I'll allot the time wherever it's possible. I'm listening that one.
Excellent. Now, Fatima, very simple. When you decide to bring that into your daily eating habits, you can then have a dessert. Every time you finish 1 hour of Louis Hay, you can go and have dessert. That's your freebie. Done. See, that'll scale up your love, man. My God. This is what you got to do. You might think this is fun, but that is real. That is basically, you see, we are kids. All of us are kids at heart. Understand this. So we need to give us the same sort of gifts that we used to give when we were children. I never understood that. You know who taught me that? John Grinder's partners, Carmels and Bostic. She would sit with me and she would say, enjoy it. Enjoy like a child. Some of the internal beliefs, I don't do it, so why? No one will. If I stop, I will fall apart. I am only lovable when I am useful. Fatima, if I achieve enough, I finally feel whole. These are some of the things that you catch when you're sitting in the back deck, sipping a cup of coffee. So create a sanctuary and it'll come to you. So let me go back to the next word, which is, next letter, I should say. Where did we do? We did doctor, we finished. C. Are you okay with trauma, Fatima?
Yes.
Okay, I'll come to that shortly. Control. The root causes of control, and control is a huge, drastic issue with many of us when we come and talk about the Brundle. How do we handle control? And what has control done to us? After overcompensation, control comes into play. When I don't trust myself or others, I grip tightly. How many of us have gone through this situation of control? The need to manage, plan, and suppress everything. Only when I do that am I safe. Are you getting my message? Now, that is also a Brundle. That is also something that we've been carrying from back days. Control is compulsive need to manage and be perfect. What are the root causes of it? Call them out, please. What are the root causes of it that you have experienced?
Distrust
This
in
is the
others.
third. Sorry?
Distrust in others.
Distrust
Overconfidence
in others.
self.
Yeah. Yeah.
Overconfidence in self.
Yeah. Overconfidence in oneself.
Yeah.
What else? Funny enough, most of this comes back to childhood. I don't know if many of you are following the trend here. Childhood unpredictability, environment with chaos, neglect causes control because the parents need to enforce certain things in place for the child to be strong according to the parent. So that automatically gets into the child's neuroplasticity. And in so doing, the child automatically conditions itself to respond that way. The armadillo then turns around and says, you're safe there. And you do that for the rest of your life. Either control people or you are in control. Caretaker role in the early life. How many of you had to care for your younger brother and sister at a very young age? And that responsibility that you used to carry was something that you carried with yourself, that you think there is a need for you now to keep that in control, intact. You had to be the adult back then when you were 3, 4, 5, 6, caring for your younger brother, caring for your younger sister. And that's psychologically implanted in you, this control mechanism. Fear of abandonment or rejection. If I control it all, I won't be left out. Ooh, so let me hold it all in. And many of us don't realize this. Unconditionally, we give, and then when it comes to take, we then turn around and say, I got to control this. I got to keep this all under my reign. Otherwise, I will lose it. That's how the horses work. Perfection is a symbol of control. Take note. If everything looks good, nothing will fall apart. Just as trauma, the reverse of it. Cultural family pressure. Control your emotions. Don't rock the boat. You do something like that. What will so-and-so say? Hello, stay away. When I went and told my father, my dad wanted me to do medicine. I did first year medicine because he's a doctor, and he said, go do medicine. I said, no, I don't like medicine. He said, no, you have to do medicine. So I went and did first year medicine. I loved it. No, I forcefully did it. I passed everything. But when it came to second year, I put my brakes and I said, no. What will so-and-so say? Everybody in the family are doctors. What will, anybody experience that? I said, Dad, it's my life. I don't like what I see. You're 24/7 in a hospital. And he looks at me. He said, then go. Do your own stuff. Get out of the house. So I left the house. But seriously, what you got to do is do things that you want. The same thing happened with India. India's turned out great for me. And then he became my best ambassador. You know something? They will always obstruct you, but when you do and you succeed, they will be your best promoter. They will be your marketing agent to tell all the relatives that you are the best son ever or the best daughter ever. Trust me, it works that way. Reverse psychology. How does control show up in your life? How does control show up in your life? What are the experiences you've encountered in control? Come on, very quickly. Anybody?
Mr. Nair, I think one of the key aspects would be like, inability to handle pain, the pain management by the individual. If that is not, the emotions is not released. That's where the control, you try to get a grip, tighter grip on the control so that, there's a feeling of not to be missing out on everything. And that's where, that emotional distress or some sort of pain management, mismanagement, so to speak, leads to that tight grip on the control.
Very true. Very true. How many of you have seen or heard this thing called micromanaging people, micromanaging outcomes? Control freak, take note. As soon as you get in that territory, you run away from it. Difficulty in trusting people or in delegating. So the person that delegates a lot is a guy that doesn't have control. I hope everybody can hear that. So learn to delegate out. Obsessive planning is a control mechanism. Be cautious. Perfection is a control mechanism. Anxiety when things are uncertain, control mechanism. Over-editing yourself constantly. Double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking yourself. So those are some of the areas that actually helps you look at control and make sure that your tunnel vision, your blinkers is out. Moving on to the next element, T in the doctor acronym is trauma, for which I'm going to introduce you to Fatima, and she's going to address this subject from her experience. Thank you, Fatima.
Thank you very much, David, and good afternoon to one and all. It is an honor to be sharing this part of the session with you guys. And, when I had to look at the word trauma, I actually didn't even think that I was traumatized. But I had to look up the meaning. What does trauma mean? And it just basically means you're going through a lot of emotion that is holding you back, and you have so many beliefs that come from this, and so many ways of getting trauma. They can be the chronic one, they can be complex ones. And I think when I looked at it, where was I? Because I looked at trauma, I experienced a certain amount of trauma over many years, in my relationship especially. And then I realized it was quite a complex system of trauma which I experienced. But yet I didn't label it as trauma. I just said I went through betrayal. I went through where my husband had betrayed me, and it hurt me so badly, threw me out. My whole identity was lost. I lost my identity in the process of it. So how this actually starts is I ended up first going to my doctor, and I didn't know I was going through something called depression. I was just living my life. And my doctor says to me, why are you here? And I said, no, I'm not feeling well. And and I just need to feel a bit better. Things are not very good. And he asked me about things at home, how things were happening. And eventually he said to me, Fatima, you are actually depressed. And I thought to myself, how does he know? I mean, first I was in denial, firstly. And then I had to go and really look at it. And he said to me, I would suggest you go get help as soon as possible. So when you leave the surgery now, you will go buy a book to read, or you buy a course, or you get help and seek psychology counseling. So I left the surgery a little bit concerned, and I said, okay, fine, let me go buy a book to read. But then at that time they were advertising Tony Robbins everywhere. That was 30 years ago. Yeah, not that 25 years ago, actually. So I went out and I bought this course, and that's how I started. I started looking into who I am, what am I, why am I this way, why am I feeling? And that was the start of finding out the way forward. But the symptoms of going through trauma, it starts with a disbelief in myself. It started with, who am I? Why am I? What is wrong with me? Firstly, why am I not good enough? And the beliefs that were coming from the experiences I was getting, because I was having a constant battle with my husband. There was a lot of gaslighting, manipulation, lies, deceit. And I'm a person of integrity. I love honesty. So there was a big clash of emotions, because I knew he was lying, but I couldn't prove it. And I had to navigate my way through this. And that's where I lost my identity. Like, I didn't know who I was anymore. If he told me you are unfeminine, in fact, I was asked one day, why are you doing this? What is the problem? Why? He actually didn't have the right answer. So he said to me, you are unfeminine, not feminine enough. So I didn't ask the question to myself, is that really true? I just ate it up. I absorbed it. I just wore that coat. Then my confidence levels went down. My belief in myself, as a mother, even I felt I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough as a wife. I wasn't good enough as a mother. I just felt like, even as a business partner, I wasn't good enough. I always felt like I was working in the business. I never felt like I was a partner. So trauma affects your personal life. It affects your business. Affects your family life. Affects the way children look at me, the way I look at my children. So that was the beginning of my trauma. So what I had to do was go get help. Now, I just want to share with you guys today that trauma, this wild horse, is the wisdom you get out of the trauma. It's the freedom you get out of the trauma, that you come out of it. So trauma is not an identity that you wear. Trauma is that wound which is needing to be helped to overcome the problems that we're experiencing. That is where the trauma starts. That wound that needs to be cared for and healed and nurtured, and looking for a way through this. There's a process to it. And when we find the process, and we find that we've started to heal, then our horse starts to come out. Then we start to fly. Then we start to find freedom in the way we run our lives. And I must say, many, many times I've looked at this picture, literally looked at a picture of a wild horse running on the beach. It's this white horse. The mane is flying in the wind. And I see this horse running on the beach, free. And I don't know why I resonated with that. I think that's who I wanted to be. Yet I was feeling so trapped in somebody that I wasn't, that I knew it wasn't me. This trauma had made me into someone that really wasn't me. I was bridled. I started to believe that I just wasn't a good enough person. Yet I followed everything. I tried to be good. I earned my love. I did everything I could do for everyone to balance this, to make this thing go away, but it wouldn't go away. So I succumbed, but I asked for help. I went to a counselor, and the one thing Dr. Gam, the late Dr. Gam, taught me was, Fatima, stand in your power. Because I had absolutely no power. I was just running as it was. And then I climbed this one mountain, the mountain Kilimanjaro, and I still wasn't feeling good enough. And one day I went to this kinesiologist friend of mine, and she said to me, "Why are you constantly trying to prove that you are good? You've already done it, but you're still constantly trying to prove." So that's what trauma does. You get to a point where you really not even sure of who you are. And that's who I was. But when I started reading up on, trying to find, I went for self-development. I went for courses. I started hanging out with social groups like the Mind Power group. I'm with them like for 12 years plus. It was this group that just made me feel whole, wholesome, good enough, great. I was inspiring them. When I joined a hiking group, they looked at me like I was someone significant that they wanted in their lives. So I felt good. But when I was at home, I was not that person. I was somebody else, a completely different person. So the identity crisis comes in. And that's what happens when you don't really know who you are. And when I became a coach, I realized that my identity was not clear because I didn't know the real me. And when I worked through this, when I've gone through the self-development, when I've gone through the beliefs of not being good enough, then I decided to come out and just accept me for me. By that time, life had changed. Again, the winds had turned in my favor because I had done something right along the way. I didn't give my power. I stood in my power and everybody worked around me. I remember Dr. Gam said to me she said, follow the current. Let it take you. You will come out somewhere. Because when you fight against the current, you won't be moving. You'll be standing in the same place. So I went with the current. I let the trauma take me, but I also found a way through it. And that's how I can share this with you today, that I now feel like a wild horse. I feel like my bridle is in the right direction. I'm not actually walking with the bridle. I'm actually got my own direction going. And now I think when I look at that horse on the beach, I feel now I can resonate with that person much more than before. So this is what I wanted to share about the trauma and the wild horse and how we can make a difference if we just fix the belief systems that we have that is holding us back. Thank you very much for your attention and for listening. Over to you, David.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, from that case study of Fatima's, I'm going to throw a few questions at you for you to just take note of. You learn to hide your true emotions. From trauma, you hide your true emotions. Yes or no? Take stock of it. And if you do, figure out why and what you should do to stop that. Especially things like anger, sadness, joy. Fatima mentioned that earlier. You stop trusting your instincts. Why? That's how you confront it. You have to confront these points to come out of it. You overachieve, overgive, disappear into safety. Why? Because those are the elements that is pulling you back, holding you back. You live in survival mode. Once you're in that environment, you're good. When you're out of the environment, you go back into your armadillo, like portrayed by Fatima. She was great when she was out there with the hiking group and all of the others. When she came home, the situation was different. Why? That's where the armadillo is working its most. And you need to confront it. You carry shame that says it was my fault. I am too much. I don't matter. Now, these are points that you need to now do when you do your self-evaluation, introspection, your wind-down exercise. And the only way you're going to get this fixed I have a saying, and you'll see that in the next blog. Inch by inch is a cinch. One small bite at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. The same thing applies here. Any questions? What would be some signs of trauma that you can accommodate, that you can see before you get into it? Being aware of it is vital. That's why we are running these signs. What are some signs that you need to be aware of?
Can I share?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I'll come to you, Glory. Yep, Shiva.
It can be anything from, as Fatima shared, depression, anxiety, sleeplessness, and loss of appetite. Then, yeah, things like that.
Right?
In regular life, yeah, or over sleepiness,
Tiredness, constantly want to go to
sometimes
rest.
forgetfulness also.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, forgetfulness and yeah.
Good. Very good. Glory?
Okay, some of the things I wanted to mention, Kiva has mentioned them, but I think a burnout can also be a sign of someone being traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
Extreme burnout, yeah.
Yeah. Nawan?
One of the factors can be, depending on the emotional imbalance, can lead to the sense of self-sabotaging, or maybe being counterproductive, and in terms of taking revenge out of that trauma, as to, because I have been hurt, I would do the same thing to somebody else, or it's like a feeling of hit out or something like that. Just like in COVID we were stuck in house, and suddenly when things opened up we tried to go places. So it's kind of the same, uh, like that ball hitting the court and coming back to us in that squash. It's something like that. When we get traumatized, we try to either we try to suppress somebody else, or we try to uh, divert our emotions to the other place, so that it gets released from our body.
True. Very true. So summing it all up, so you got some things to walk away with. Number one, react strongly to small triggers. Your reaction, the slightest trigger blows out. In normal situation, that doesn't. Whereas now, when you're in this situation of trauma, the slightest pinprick, you'll blow out. Struggles with intimacy. Struggles with authenticity. Stands out. Lives in cycle of self-sabotage, like what Navan just mentioned. You're constantly revving in it. Always on guard. What's going to happen? And you're not living the moment. You're not at the present time. You're disconnected. Most of the time you'll be disconnected, and you wonder why. So with all of that, you now understand one of the key things with trauma is you need to spend a heck of a lot of time in support structure. Support structure and journaling. Two key areas that you need to work with. Support structure and journaling. Because when you're in a support structure, your happy hormones get stimulated, your oxytocins get stimulated. And that is exceptionally good as a relief mechanism. So you're indirectly picking up vitamins for that. So think about it. Make sure you got, that's why whenever I get a counseling session for people that are talking about marriage breakups and everything, the first thing I say to them is, what's your support structure like? Fix that first. And that's one of the reasons that triggered me to look at MRM, because I know there's a lot of people out there in pain, but they don't know what to do. Okay. Next, we have after trauma, obedience. D-O-C-T-O. Oh, obedience. How does obedience work with us here? Anyone? What's obedience got to do with a horse and the bridle? Anybody? Yes, Shiva.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Obedience, what is coming up to me is like unable to say no and accept saying yes to everything and overcommitting.
Sorry,
Extremely obedient.
Can you repeat again because we missed the first part?
Yeah, am I okay? Obedience, overcommitting oneself and am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, yes.
Okay, it is overcommitting oneself. Yeah, to keep peace, overcommitting oneself and not able to say no.
Okay.
Just to keep the peace and not to have conflicts, right? So yeah, obedience is like trying to portray a good picture while suppressing all your emotions, and then so that you just go with the flow of things in a different way, like you are suppressing your emotions and you're being obedient. I think there are a lot of people who do that because, see, maybe you try to address something, it did not work out, and you feel that it will never work out, something like that, right?
Right. Sure.
Not able to say no, basically, and overcommitting also. Yeah.
And the need to be part of it so you don't fall into the trap. Yep, understand. Fatima.
Yeah, David, for me, it's that, not the bridle being, you going in one direction. So you have to obey that. It's the way it is. It's not like you want to make changes or that trying to rock the boat again. It's just doing it because that's the easiest way to go. You're gonna make it easier for yourself, though you are very unhappy inside, but it's easier for you and for everyone else if you just follow and obey. Forgetting about your needs not being met at all, just making sure that everyone else is still okay and keeping the balance. I think that for me, that's what it means.
Right. Very good. Nawang, you had your hand up?
Yes. So obedience for me in this case would be over accepting everything and anything around the self without even analyzing what's wrong or right, succumbing to anything that comes out to our struggles without putting out a fight. We just go down and accept the whatever is the reality without the without the fight being put out.
Yeah. Everything that all of you guys said is correct, 100%. Whenever a question is asked on any of these areas, I'd like you to take one step back and try to do what Steve Jobs has commonly made mention of. You join the dots. In MRM, we cover a lot of stuff around here, covering aspects of modalities, speaker platforms, and there's a thing that we always seem to talk about is called purpose. Okay? Now, what happens with obedience? Think about it. The first thing that comes to my mind as I think about that is my inner compass has been silenced. Hello? By some external force. And that external force has replaced my inner compass direction. That external rule has said to me, you can't do or can't do it. So I'm obeying somebody else's role, somebody else's expectations. Hence, I've gone down the pits. If my compass goes out, my GPS goes out, my purpose goes out, what happens? which is what happened to quite a few of the ladies. Mass exodus from here because the husband said you're spending too much time on MRM or you're growing faster than I, was one comment. How do you do? How do you manage that? You succumb to it. So take note, obedience in a bridal. This is what happens. So what are you going to do about it? You need to first build yourself first, such that you can do the other. Hence the things that we spoke about. Mirror technique with Fatima, Louise Hay for Ramadevi. Do the same thing. Build your self-image, build your self-esteem. There are techniques for that. I mean, this platform today is not the platform for it to talk about, primarily because it'll, we'll be going off in a different direction. But we've got so many different methodologies and modalities to help you do that. So run with it. But at the same time, take stock of what is happening because you're not doing that. That's where your detriment, your fall happens. So in a survival situation, if I follow the rules, I stay small, I stay quiet, I please others, I won't be punished, I won't be rejected, the poor little me syndrome comes into play. Gosh, your image, your self-image will be lower than that of a pregnant ant, guys. Take stock of it. Change. Use the 4 steps. Change immediately. Shift. Now, where does this obedience thing comes from? We go back to the root cause now. Where does it come from? Think about it. And when you do your introspection, think where is it coming from and what's the cause of it? Anybody, call out, please.
David, I think it comes from school. They say keep quiet, don't make a noise, don't shake your legs. Otherwise, you're going to get hiding. So I was always the obedient. I don't do anything wrong. I just make sure I do my work and keep quiet and don't talk to anybody. That's what I used to do.
Did the teacher come and hit you on the back and say, stop dreaming? I used to just look out of the window and gaze. I was one of the best dreamers around. And she didn't like me. Oh, God, I wonder why.
It's from
Anybody
the brought
else?
up, the way we have been brought up by our ancestors.
Yes, the way you're brought up, strict parenting. Bottom line, strict parenting. Please don't strict parenting.
That is the highest influence which makes us like this.
Example, the boys are not supposed to be seen crying.
Yeah. How true. Yes. Punishment for being independent. By the way, how many of you have had that in South Africa? What do you call that thing called the stick, the rattan?
A cane.
Oh, you call it cane, you're too civilized. We call it rattan in Malaysia. They come and they give you public caning on the top thing. Ah, on your bum, by the way. My
Yes,
God.
we call it Dr. Do Good here.
What do you call it?
Dr. Do Good.
So do good. Oh, wow.
Dr. Do Good.
Oh, Dr. Do Good. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Any other points? What else? Strict parenting is one key area that equates to obedience. And that we always talk about neuroplasticity, right? Repetition, 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 practice, practice, practice. And by that constantly being on our head, guess what happens as you grow up? It takes you years to let go of that. Many don't realize it. So please have empathy for your child. Hello? Yes, and you can look up there. Your child is up there. Both of the girls are great. And the big child is very good also. I know he's sitting there.
He's just arrived, yes, the big child.
So now, guys, listen to this carefully. Listen to this carefully. You need to make sure strict parenting is important, but you need to understand how to balance it. I just saw a face there. How to balance it. You got to be on the meridian here. You cannot just play around. We didn't touch this. Religious and cultural conditioning. Religious and cultural conditioning. I don't know. Well, I apologize if this hurts anybody. In our days when we used to go dating, one of the things that we used to love is after school, we'd go to the convent school and wait on the gates and suck ice cream and play around, waiting for the girls to come out. And we would always prime up and see how we could select the ladies for the dance that we want to go. And guess what happens? The ladies are primed by the nuns to make sure they are well taken care of and what they should do. And we were told that when they came to one of the dances, one of the girls actually brought a phone book. How many of you know what would you use a phone book for? I think Anda would. Anybody else? Yes, Fatima.
You probably either you're looking for a number there or you're gonna hit somebody with that because that phone book is very thick and very big.
Okay, no, that's not the reason. Glory?
I'm not sure is what I wanted to say. I'm like, is it the book that you write down phone numbers or something?
Oh, okay. No, that's not it. No, that's not it.
Okay.
I'm talking to you, lady. Just gone frozen on me. Can you hear me, Anda? Yeah.
Yeah. So you look for addresses in the phone book.
No! God, you guys are all prim and proper. God. You know what the nuns used to prime? You know what the nuns used to prime these girls up for? Make sure every girl, you girls, take the phone book with you. I wondered why some of them walked in with a phone book. And they said they had to put the phone book on the lap of the guy before they sat on his lap so they don't get pregnant.
Seriously?
Honest to goodness, this was the nuns teaching the girls, okay? So from that day onwards, I said, okay, I think these girls are too prim and proper. So we had to teach them something different. What do you do? That's conditioning, school systems conditioning. Now, that'll be a story for you guys to take. I mean, these are all real stories. I'm telling you, I got a whole book of them. Another. Let's look at what else. Gender norms. Good girls are quiet. Hello? How many of you have said, girls don't talk loud? Good girls are quiet? Anybody? Yeah, Sonia? Yeah? Glory? Yeah? Girls don't do that? Yeah? How? That's obedience. What causes this and how do we work with it? The underlying belief on this. Very simple. If I obey, I will be loved. You see how this is tied up? If I do that, conditioning, huh? If I do that, I will be loved. So I do that. And that done over a period of time comes to be conditioning. And then it stays with the child till the day the child dies. If I disobey, I will be punished. Others know better than I. Being good means staying quiet. You see how this relation, and kids, their brain is osmosized with all of this. they soak it in and it stays there for years. Now, let's go for the last one. Reframing. Why is reframing so important? You've heard this word so many times. What is reframing for a start? Someone help me with reframing. What is reframing?
If I may, David.
Yes, please.
I love reframing. It's basically taking a negative situation and changing it around into something positive. No matter what happened,
Right.
you make the situation, you change the story about that situation, making it a positive. That's what reframing
Right.
is.
Right. Right. Anybody else? Any other perspective?
I think it also realignment.
Realignment.
It also
Yeah.
has to do with realignment. Yeah.
Yeah. Realignment. Yes. What else?
Restructuring as per the new context or as per the deferred situation. Different situation. Restructuring.
So true. So a reframe is basically a conscious manner in which we shift our perspective consciously. It's not the unconscious, you know. I'm talking about consciously. You actually put a methodology in place to shift that framing, that perspective. Whether it's a story, a belief, an experience, whatever it is, you're repositioning, reframing that perspective, putting a different perspective to it for you to now look at and understand and work with. This empowers you. Okay. What are some of the things that go through with this exercise on reframe? Why is it so important? It helps with trauma, especially trauma. If we can image in, that's where I coined this phrase, image in, not imagination, but image in. Image in your reframed perspective and harness that power. You internalize it. I am not too much. I am for what I'm worth. I failed. No. I'm not lovable. No. Reframing helps to reclaim that power that you lost. Verbalizing is one form. Imaging is another form. Utilize those two tools because that's the only way you're going to come out of that rubbish. And affirmations are your subordinate tools to help you with your reframing. My past is not my prison. So when you look at it, the use of doctor, D-O-C-T-O-R, and the wild horse, now you have got it all pulled in together such that you could learn to now fly, run wild in the fields that you want to. Don't let the bridle hold you back. Use this mechanism of the doctor to frame yourself out of the problems that you're facing. Any questions? Yes, Nawang.
Mr. Nair, I have a question on reframing. If we use that technique, the methodology to get out of the pit hole, to rewire neuroplasticity and everything, can that lead to false ego or false narrative or hallucination at times, just to conditioning, reverse condition, or that position?
That's why we say build yourself first, and the foundation to build yourself was your purpose. And if your purpose is well defined, you have your values, your core beliefs, all of that put in place, you yourself will know at the time that you're going to be passing the boundary into egoism. You yourself will know that. And you will know where you're going to condition your joy, your simplicity, your humility, plus healthy ego. There's a difference, not ego, healthy ego. And then you'll understand how to work this through. So that's why I never understood this. I never understood the power of purpose until I went and did that myself. And then I began to showcase that a lot. So that's where you'll fix that, Noah.
And how about hallucination?
Hallucination is, to me, a very controllable fact. Many do not see that, but it is controllable. You can control it. I don't want to go into the depths of it, but you can control it, and you will not go into the depths of hallucination if you have practiced it right. In some cases, it's very good. The power of hallucination. Yes, Shiva.
Yeah, I know we are closing. A quick question that can be answered in another session also for me. But yeah, this is there. When we were talking about obedience, right? Yeah, I'm a mother, and now punishment will not work. And again, I don't want to reward my child for almost anything and everything. So how do I discipline? Like, I have a challenge. My child gets up and he won't brush his teeth for more. Like, I keep telling him softly, gently, reminding, but it won't happen even for 1 hour. So this is a big task for me in the morning. I don't know how to handle it. Like, I stopped punishing like long time, and I don't want to reward so much. I also did that, and yes, the days when he wants to go somewhere, definitely he will complete the task quickly. But those days when he is not having anything on his plate, he will take his own sweet time. What do I do? How do I do it differently? Please share. I'm open to all the learnings
Now,
and new things I would really like to imbibe.
Parenting is outside the scope of this, but Anda will give you my bank account and I will answer the question.
Yeah. But this does
But no,
come under
seriously.
the convenience.
No,
So
it does. It does. Seriously, the act of working with a child, we found from experience with the Titans group, for the parent to be with the child for a limited period of time doing the activity. I relate back to a true story. A parent, single mom, was having difficulty rushing the child for the school bus. She was cooking breakfast, getting the child up, doing all of the activities, and then after breakfast, coming down and getting little Johnny to tie the shoelace. And she was tying the shoelace to hasten the process and rush the kid out the front gate for the bus. When she talked to the psychologist, this is exactly what he said to her. What I would like you to do is learn the art. She didn't say this in these words. I'm using my words. Learn the art of delegation. She said, teach little Johnny how to tie the shoes himself, which meant for 3 weeks, 21 days minimum, mother was sitting with little Johnny and tying left over right, right over left, inside out, pull it. Left over right, right over left, inside out, pull it. That's a shoelace. That's how you tie shoes. Left over right, right over left, inside out, pull it. Until so much so that Johnny was singing this. And then it became a habit for Johnny to do it. And then when she went and met the psychologist again, she said, have you found time? She said, oh my God, I'm saving so much of time. That's an extra 5 minutes just tying the shoes. I could spend on making the lunch or doing something else. So my suggestion is very simple. 21 days, you sit with the boy and we turn around and say to him, you brush your teeth with the child. Shiva, hear me. You brushed your teeth with the child. I know you get up early, but go back and rebrush your teeth with the child. He needs to see that role model happening and make sure he's doing back and front and all of that. And then you turn on and say, you feel good? Let's go have breakfast now. Make it a joyful activity with the child. Don't say, go do it.
Yeah.
Monkey say, monkey do, don't like it. When they do with you alongside, see, there's a saying. I mean, footprints. Have you read the footprints poem? Walk by my side. Don't walk in front of me. Don't walk behind me. Walk by my side. That's why I keep saying to people, walk the walk before you do the talk. All of these are all analogies of how you entice a person to come do the thing with you. And that's exactly what we did with the Titans. You know what? The first compliment we got from the parents of Titans was this. This is after 8 months. My child gets up in the morning before the alarm. My child makes the bed. My child packs his clothes ready for the morning the night before. Hello. This is 4, 5, 6-year-old kids. That's why they came to Titans and learned it. We have to restart that session anyway now. But why do they do it? Because we instructed the parent to be with the child, do this for 21 days. See how the child reacts to it. Because they see the mother or the father doing with it. They are the best role models.
Sure. This is a light bulb thing. Like, yeah, even I used to do that, but I think I forgot. A great reminder that make it a joyful activity. I'll see how I can do it. And I'll get back here.
Yeah, thank you very much. And the bill is 5,000 rupees for Earth survivors. That's the charity up in Delhi. Okay, good. Any other questions? Fabulous. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful night. And oh, there's some messages. We didn't read all the messages, Anda.
No, we did.
Anda is going to sleep. What's happened?
No, we did. And I actually responded to the messages.
Oh, you have? Oh, that's all your messages. Okay, good. Thank you. Isn't she great? Great. Thank you so much.
Oh dear. Bye bye.
A nice
Have a good
session
day.
after a long time.
Sorry, you have a question?
No. It is a nice session after a long time.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure. We do this every Thursday. You're welcome to join us every Thursday too, by the way.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Rangarajan.
Thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Pleasure. Everyone, thank you so much. Adios.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Carlos.
Everybody.
Everyone, take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Great session.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you,
Thank you, David.
Fatima, and everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.
Have a wonderful night.